What's up everyone, Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye here, and I have a very popular topic video, and one of the biggest questions I get is which camera should I buy in regards to vlogging and taking things around. As you've seen on this channel, I have gone through a lot of gear, moved things around to be happy where I am now with what I have. So one of the biggest requests is to see if I can break down the Canon 80D versus the Canon G7X, EOS M5, M6, and the Sony RX100 V, since I've pretty much owned all of them except the mirrorless line. So this isn't gonna be like a full in-depth review. I'm just gonna give you the breakdown of each and just give you the pros and cons. And then at the end, I'll make a couple suggestions. But the biggest question is, what do you vlog with in 2016, which what it was, and 2017, as the vlogging game has been really coming up now. And especially even it being a video play, more portable, something easier to do, this has become very popular. So I did a review on this recently, and I also returned this camera, and I explained in that video why. The Sony RX100 Mark V, the little portable guy right there. So we're gonna start off with that. And it's $1,000. And actually, the funny that you think of it, most of these cameras are around $1,000, give or take 100 off a little bit. So you are spending a lot of money to get into this field, this niche. So just keep that in mind. But the Sony RX100 Mark V has been a very popular camera for a lot of people. I actually started a couple years ago, I think 3 years ago at this point, with the RX100 Mark III. That was pretty much one of my first really vlog style ones. I'll link that down below. And that still hasn't even gotten that much cheaper, oddly enough. So these cameras are retaining their value. And the great ease of use was it had a flip screen up. The autofocusing was pretty good. It was even pretty good back then in the Mark III. And Sony just has a great image quality, or so, that comes out of their cameras in most regards. But once again, you're paying $1,000 for this camera, but what you get out of the RX100 Mark V is 4K video. It does overheat a little bit, but you get 4K video, you get solid high frame rates if you want to do some epic slow motion and slowing down in post. You get a lot out of that. The build quality is pretty decent, even though the back screen is a little chintzy. I actually owned the RX100 Mark V for about a month and a half, 2 months, and the screen had already come loose a little bit and I had to tighten it. But once again, I did return that camera. The autofocusing is super fast and accurate and snappy in that camera. One of the biggest reasons why I moved from a G7X to that camera, because the AF is just beyond better. Stabilization, meh. The battery life was very, very poor. But the big thing I like, besides it being 4K, if you're really into that, is that it had S-Log 2, I believe, so that way you could shoot flat video and you have more control over it. So you get a lot of video options, and the stills are great within that camera, don't get me wrong too. You get a lot of video options in that RX100 Mark V for $1,000. You even get the click, declick, aperture ring up, or the ring up front, whichever, however you want to use it. It had no mic input, so that was one of my biggest things. It was $1,000, and for $1,000, I want something with great image quality, be it a 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor. And I saw it did decent for the most part, but when I even did my test vlog, and a couple people even commented, it was like snowy out, and I was shooting something at the sky, and the chromatic aberration was atrocious at times. So it really made me think, why do I want to keep this camera? So ultimately for $1,000, that's why I went with the 80D, which is filming me now. I expected more out of it. So you get a lot out of it. You get a fast camera, you get a snappy camera, but I do feel the image quality is degraded a little bit. And the build quality wasn't the best. The battery wasn't the best. I tested in 4K, and I did get some overheating issues. Not a lot, not all the time, but it did happen. But for $1,000 and what I want to do, I felt my money could be allocated to something a little better. But you get portability, you get some great stuff out of the RX100 Mark V. Of course, it's very popular, but it does have some limitations like I mentioned. Let's break down the Canon G7X Mark II for around $680 to $700. Now, I did own the G7X, and that was pretty much the popular vlogging camera all over YouTube and the internet, is because of the price point. It was much more affordable than the RX100, and it still is by about $300, a little under $300. And it's amazing for what it is. Once again, there is no mic input. There is no 4K. The battery life is at least 10 times better in the G7X than in the Sony line of cameras. But I think it's because Sony really just pushes out a lot, and you're doing a lot with more intensity with that camera. The two things is, I did find the video quality still not the best. I mean, I would even just set it up like doing a talking head thing here, and it would look terrible at times, and you have to do a lot of correction to fix that. So there were a couple issues, like low light wasn't the best in that. The RX100 did better in low light. But the other big flaw about the G7X series was that the autofocusing was super slow. It sucked. I would literally do this and it wouldn't move. Like this is going to adjust and the light's right here. And it wouldn't adjust for a good like 30 seconds to a minute, and it's just so annoying. That's why I sold that and moved up to the RX100. But for what it is and for what most people would use it for, the image quality is great. 20 megapixels. It does do 1080p at 60 frames per second, so you don't have to overcrank it. Once again, there's no 4K. You do get a flip screen up, which has a full readout. The thing I forgot to mention on the RX100 V is it also flips up, so that way you can see yourself when you're doing something, but you lose your information at the bottom, like your settings, your camera settings, whatever you're using. So that was another little flaw that I'm like, this is stupid. You have to tilt it back, read it, adjust, and go from there. But no mic input, and once again, the autofocusing just wasn't that good. ISO, once again, it goes up to like 25,000. That's just the selling feature, but you're not buying it for low light. You're buying it for what it does. For the most part, in all honesty, the G7X Mark II will pretty much work for a majority of people out there, and you could save $300 to $400. Just get another battery or something. I wanted to mention the Canon EOS M M6 because that was brought up, and I've been in this internal debate as well because once again, for about $1,000 for the M5 with the electronic viewfinder, the M6 is around what, $700, $800. Because it doesn't have one, you can get an optional one. It is a 24 megapixels, so you're getting something good. The low light is said to be pretty well. The dual pixel AF is actually pretty great in that camera. I just don't have a review on it. Once again, there's no 4K. It does do 1080p at 60 frames per second. It does have 5-axis in-body hybrid in the M6. The 5, I think, is all electronic IS, which is okay. But with the M5, it has the flip screen flips down, and most people use something to attach it. Like I have my Manfrotto Pixie tripod that I put at the bottom because it's easy to hold, and the screen, it would be blocked. The dumbest design, but it's because of the EVF. But in the M6, it flips up because the EVF is not there. The optional attachment will go to the side and would impede, but the M6 would probably be my better option in regards to that. I would kind of write off the M5 because I don't care about the EVF, but if you do, it's built into that. But overall, with the cost of the EVF for the M6 and that, it's pretty much the same price. They did make some minor improvements over the M6. If you want to know more about that, I'll link a video down in the description below. But that's pretty much what you're getting there. If you realize, I'm going to mention 3 Canon cameras in a row because Canon and Sony are really the only ones taking the vlog game YouTube video seriously for the most part. I'm not talking about cinematography using Sony high-end. I'm just really talking about video vlog type cameras. So beat a lot of those specs sound the same. The Canon 80D, which is filming me right now, is what I recently moved to when I did sell some Nikon gear to go this. I'm not fully Canon yet, but I'll link that down below if you really want to hear that as well. But the Canon 80D fit exactly everything that I wanted. The only thing people will complain is that it's a DSLR, so the size is bigger. But for me, for $1,000 or $1,100, this can provide a lot more better image quality. I can get a lot more out of this. And just having the screen right here and it face track and do everything for me is mind-blowing. The dual pixel AF is the best on the market, a little bit over Sony in general. There's going to be argument about that, but that's fine. But this does everything that I need. It has a mic jack, it has a mic input, and I could just do anything with it. So that's pretty much, I mean, that's pretty much it. There's no 4K. Of course, people would love that. I don't really care for it. I don't really need it. I could do 60 frames a second, 1080p full slow-mo. It's got the best battery life, 24 megapixels, great stills. The quality's great, build quality's the best, mic input, headphone in jack. To me, the only argument would be the size. Do you want to go for something more point and shoot style, or do you want something like this? To me, I felt I want something more this with the Canon 80D. So it really just comes down to what you want. I do want to mention EOS M, at least the 6, comes with an external video mic option, so that way you can plug something in and get better audio. Just wanted to throw that in there before I forgot. So all that being said, I was really tossing up the Canon 80D versus the EOS M5 M6. And of course, I went with the 80D because I thought I can get a lot more out of it. The M line is interesting. Their lenses are a little weird, and that's just a whole little system I really don't feel like buying into. And I feel for the size of it, it's a great camera. Once again, I wouldn't touch the M5 because the screen flipping down's a joke to me. The M6 would be my option in regards to that. But I think for the most part, the G7X Mark II will be great for most people watching this video. People who just want to vlog, get pretty decent image quality out of it. But if you want to spend $1,000, the Sony RX100 V is also a very, very capable camera. I was just a little disappointed image quality-wise at times. And it just, to me, the 80D was the proper choice. So 80D, if you really want your money's worth, in my opinion, that's why I got this. M6, if you want to get still a decent camera, dual pixel AF. G7X is just more affordable, and you could do pretty much whatever you want with it. You're not being limited a ton, except the AF is a little slow. But if you want something that's very good, decently good, go with the RX100 V for $1,000. Just pick what you want. Something of greater quality, what I feel the 80D is, be it 4K ruled aside, I just don't care about, or portability. That's your choice. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. I know I ran through a lot, and it was requested. I wanted to talk about it to maybe help you guys and girls out there who are going through some of these same debates as well. Hopefully this helped you out in some way, and I rambled a little bit. But that's the Canon 80D, Sony RX100 V, G7X Mark II, and EOS M5, M6. What do you want to vlog with in 2016, 2017, 2018?